Experience tranquility.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another week of Overwatch Tranquility Tournament. I'm Cool Sam, and alongside me tonight is Hybrid.
Hey, it's hybrid.
Tonight we'll be seeing some Harmony tier action as Maelstrom takes on DDos.
Some general news for today before we start the match. Today is patch day, so we have kind of brand new Overwatch. We have the most important 222 lock. Starts today. We also have some character buffs, nerfs, and reworks. We do have that rework where Brigitte is getting nerfed, so that means Goats is dead. Goats is gone. Reinhardt, uh, he got a nerf. No, wait, he got a rework, correct? What's that?
Correct.
Yeah, so
I
he
would
did.
say I would say it's a buff.
And then Wrecking Ball also. Sigma is now added to live, so you can go ahead and play Sigma only as with if you queue as a tank.
However, Sigma will not be available in this week's matches for the Tranquility League tournament. So overall, it's going to be quite a big change here. Teams going to be locked to the 2-2-2. We'll see no more goats. And it looks like teams are just about ready, so we'll be kicking it over to Elios here momentarily. So this is going to be a big game, as both teams coming to this league are 2-0. Maelstrom coming off a 3-2 narrow victory over Fighting Potatoes, and DDos, who had initially lost the vacated 3-2, will be given the loss, or a 4-0 win, excuse me, as one of the players on overtime was lying about his SR. And frankly, kids, we just don't approve of that.
Maka W. But DDoS did get their win week 1 against Spare Change, a 3-1 win.
So the big thing I'm looking for tonight really is the main tank play out of It's Johnny. He is a new player on DDoS. They just picked him up. He is kind of filling in the shoes of Blue, who has kind of had to step away from DDoS for some IRL personal issues. So I'm really interested to see what he will do. So as we get a beginning look at these lineups, we can see coming out of the gates, it looks like DDoS is going to be running a bit of a dive comp with the Pharmacy and the Sombra, and from what we can gather for Maelstrom, they'll be running your typical, what's becoming a lot of what many people would consider the meta with this Orisa Diva and Reaper May.
They also call it Death Storm or something like that. Death Freeze. That's some common names I've heard for it.
So these teams will be kicking it off here, and it looks like Maelstrom is going to start heading to point, but not before getting some poke out of from DDoS, excuse me. Drug raining in those fair shots from below, trying to chip down that shield, and it looks like
Johnny is jumping into the point. Johnny does go down.
He has quite a hard commit, and Maelstrom was just waiting for him, quickly murked him, excuse me, and that's going to be an easy first point for Maelstrom.
Johnny did jump in there by himself, and his team didn't follow up. That's the main problem there. He needs to follow up this team.
So Drug gonna try and come in from above, but Mountainfall quickly swoops in and knocks him out. Jumping in next is
Johnny investing
it's Johnny.
primal.
He's gonna pop his primal, moving a lot of people around, but no one seemed to die. Mixed ready in a risky reg from Drug here. The fight's continuing. A pure pandemonium is happening on point here, but no one's seeming to fall. A big anti on the main tanks of Maelstrom. Finally, Rubik's on the D.Va is going to get demeched, and Stevenator is going to fall on the Ana, and it looks like Maelstrom's going to continue to hold this point.
Quick reset from DDos.
Looks like it's Johnny's going to be rotating over to the Orisa. Honestly, probably a smart play for Johnny. He's been diving in deep on the Winston, but he's just not being able to secure any kills. So hopefully, having that shield of the Orisa will provide them a little more sustain.
Drug
So we're gonna
have his ultimate.
Drug gonna be looking for a point of entry to get that barrage off.
Thanks for the assist.
A lot of ults now online for DDos. Let's see if they can put it to good use. DDos just sitting over point, looking for that point of entry, getting a little poke damage in while he can, but he just can't seem to find that place to get that barrage off. He's gonna try and rocket jump in. He's gonna go for the barrage. He's big defense matrix by Mountainfall. Pharaoh's gonna get Drug is gonna get frozen. Big
And
bomb by
2K.
Mountainfall is gonna kill 2. And that looks like, again, it's gonna be another solid win for Maelstrom. And it looks like with just 10% remaining, they're gonna be able to finish off this point. PDK Kid throws in the EMP, but it is just too little too late.
Maelstrom coming
As
in dominant.
Maelstrom cleans up the fight, and they'll take Lighthouse 100-0.
Maelstrom didn't really use as many ultimates as DDos. DDos invested too many or a lot of ultimates into that fight and couldn't capture the point.
Right. I think the biggest one I noticed was PDK Kid holding on to that EMP for quite some time, not quite sure when to throw it off, and unfortunately, it was just too little, too late. So DDos is gonna have to go back to the drawing board to figure out what they need to do to win here on well.
This is
As
a
we look-
map.
Excuse me. As we look at these lineups, it looks like Maelstrom going to be running the Pharmacy as well as a Widowmaker. Interesting choice here. There's quite a few small sight lines, but that doesn't mean that Widow can't get value. On the side of DDos, they'll be running the Mei and the Hanzo, and Ruru doing damage early takes out PDK Kid, forcing that res out of mix early. So Ruru continues to lay those shots down from above. And quite frankly, DDos just can't get on point. Big boot there from Ruru. It's going to push some people out of position. It's going to force out that fortify from It's Johnny early. But Rubik's going to come in, swipe Mountainfall, and drop him down into the well. Triage going to dink It's Johnny. And Ruru coming out early. He's going to throw that barrage out. He's going to connect with both supports before getting taken down by Drug. And Triage is going to clean it up, and with only
3K.
Rubik's left,
This is not the end.
Maelstrom is going to be able to pick up this first fight win and start accumulating points.
Triage wasn't contested that entire fight. Had 3 shots, no pressure on him.
PDK Kid making the swap over to Widow, and Drug hopping over to the Drunk Rat. Triage showing out his sights early to know where DDos is coming from. And again, Ruru just continuing to spam all he can. Finally, DDos can get on point, but not before It's Johnny gets hooked before getting his shield down, and he's going to get melted by Mountainfall. So now, with a limited time on that shield, DDos is going to have to forfeit that point. And Ruru continuing to find those angles to try and poke down members of DDos.
Triage again with no pressure on him, getting 3 shots.
Mountainfall connects with a hook on the PDK Kid. And Ruru already coming up with another barrage. The ultimates online for Maelstrom are looking really good here, and DDos is going to have to do a lot to outplay it. So again, DDos just waiting to find that point of entry to get on point. Finally, Ruru closing in with that barrage. Let's see if he's going to send it off, and he does, and it's going to immediately get It's Johnny and Drug before PDK Kid finally finishes them off. It's Johnny is going to be res, so he can set up a point and sustain for a little bit longer, with her arc still down a man in Ruru. Or Ru's. Excuse me. PDK Kid gonna find the headshot on Triage, and Rubik's gonna get booped into the well by Crossfade. It's a pretty even matchup right now. Let's see if DDos can stay on point long enough to try to flip it. However, Mountainfall on the flanking Whole Hog is gonna knock out PDK Kid. Junkrat Tire coming in from Drug, and he's gonna connect the two, and it looks like finally DDos has done enough to finally win this point over, but not before Maelstrom gets up to 99%.
Big investment from Drug. They're using Tyrant and it's paying off. They captured the point and now they have to hold.
What surprises me most is after using his barrage and subsequently dying, Drug already back up to 45% on his, or excuse me, Ruru up to 50% on his next barrage. DDos is gonna have to play perfectly here, as one lost fight is pretty much point and map. PDK gonna throw out his sights. Looks like there's a halt hook coming out, and It's Johnny gonna fall to the hands, or excuse me, Chris is gonna fall to the hands of It's Johnny. And Maelstrom going to back up, give up that space. They've got plenty of time to work with, so I can't say I blame them. It's Johnny taking an aggressive shield position, and that's going to work out nicely as Rubik's manages to connect the hook onto Ruru. Maelstrom got about 2 more fights in them before DDos will end up capturing this point. However, Ruru coming up on yet another barrage. This is his 3rd barrage this map. So again, Maelstrom working their way from point. Gonna take a different approach this time, setting up on the other side. PDK Kid gonna get the headshot onto Crispy, and Mountainfall gonna return the favor. Ruru throws out the barrage. She's gonna get 2 before getting taken down by PDK Kid. Crossfade gonna finish off Rubik's before PDK Kid snipes him. And Triage making some big plays here, but ultimately in the end, Mountainfall on the Roadhog and the Mercy and the Lucio are gonna be able to capture this point. And it's do or die time right now for DDos, as they have to quickly get on the point with Wrecking Ball. Fair shots start coming in from Ruru. A little bit, everyone's a little scattered all over the map here.
Maelstrom does have the ultimate advantage.
The Whole Hog comes out from Mountainfall, and that's going to be enough to knock Rubik's on the Diva out of mech. Stevenator going to follow the Triage. Junkrat Tire coming out from Drug. Let's see if he can do anything to keep them on this point longer. It is going to connect on Triage. So again, DDos just existing on this point, though no clear victor has been decided yet, and the point is yet to flip in DDos' favor. Crossfade playing aggressive. Him and Ruru are going to team together to take out Stevenator. Ruru are going to finish off PDK Kid, and it looks like it's a slow swing back in the favor of Maelstrom. Again, everyone's just pure pandemonium on this point now. Ruru coming up on another barrage. He's going to use it to finish off the baby Diva. He's going to finish off Drug, and that is going to be Ilios. Maelstrom winning, looking very strong on Lighthouse, but and really strong out of the gate on Well, but Maelstrom was able to come back, get up to about 87% before Maelstrom would inevitably take it back and finish off this map. So we see one of the many barrages out from Ruru tonight. I've been particularly impressed with his projectile play, both on the Hanzo, Pharah, and even the Genji. So as we exit Ilios, Maelstrom takes the 1-0 lead over DDos. So next up, we'll be heading to everyone's favorite, and that is 2CP on Hanamura. Overall, I gotta say, Hybrid, this was a bit of a tough match for DDos out of the gate. They've got a new main tank, and it's Johnny, and I think they've had a little bit of synergy issues, but that's expected having a new main tank.
Them having a new player on the team does really mess up synergy. You've seen it across the entire league. A bunch of people coming in, especially in the Harmony tier. Each team picking up a new player, dropping new players. Synergy is one of the most important things in a team, and I feel that did mess up, especially a main tank.
And with blue out for what might be considered the foreseeable future, it might be a bit of a learning process here as Johnny works to integrate with this new team. So we've got a slew of substitutions here that we're working through for Hanamura. That I'm working on. Overall, what did you think of Maelstrom out of the gate hybrid? Do you think they're really living up to that hype that a lot of people have put on them?
Yeah, definitely. They did come out dominant. Held the point entirely. The point never got flipped. They didn't invest as much ultimates as DDos did. DDos invested a lot of ultimates and couldn't flip the point. Even in second point, map 2 of Ilios, they did 99 the point, but then did get flipped by DDos. Definitely living up to the hype.
All right. Well, next up, we'll be heading over to Hanamura. 2CP is always a bit of a wild card. It's really decided really on just about 2 fights. It's really who can pull off those big team wipes first. So we are going to jump into Hanamura, beautiful, what I believe is Japan, home of the Shimada brothers. Let's see if we see any Genji play today. I know in particular Ruru had very strong performance against Fighting Potatoes last week on Hanzo. So I'm wondering if Maelstrom will be pulling that out again this week on Hanamura.
Does have a strong Orisa Hog team. They are a really strong Orisa Hog team, and Hanamura is known for their bunker comps.
Indeed, they are. I had the opportunity to reach out to Triage of Maelstrom to kind of talk about their really close 3-2 victory over the Fighting Potatoes. And really what they described that matchup more than anything was just a mental struggle. As 5 of those players on that team were part of the only team last season to lose to the Potatoes. So they really didn't want to live up to losing to them again. It was kind of a personal match in a way. And they found themselves focusing more on the individual players than the team as a whole. And that kind of pressured them into a lot of mistakes that the Potatoes were able to capitalize on. However, Triage really attributes that victory to a lot of the new players bringing that, fresh life into them, those being Nagisa, Reach, and Ruru. So
Maelstrom coming out on a bunker comp on defense, and DDos coming off on Death Freeze again. Ryan's already comp, something they're very strong at.
It's Johnny going to be in a bit of a tough situation here as he's going to have to really manage that shield usage against both the Bastion and the Pharah. So they're going to start rotating their way up to the high ground, but that's not going to be an issue for Ruru as he can fly in the sky, and he's continuing to just rain down shots below, already up to 63% on the result, and we're only 30 seconds into this match. So DDos kind of fighting their footing here, looking for that next rotation, but Ruru continuing to just aggressively hold it, and he's just getting unchecked right now, and he's already got the barrage out, and finishing out Drug early, and getting It's Johnny next. Coalescence is going to be forced out by Stevenator, but I think it's too little too late here, as as DDos is already down 3. Triage going to pick up the kill on PDK Kid, and Pharah trying to finish off Mix Ready, but he's just a little too slippery on Lucio, and he's going to get out with his life.
Maelstrom did hold that point with that quick rotation. They made it onto the point.
I'm restored.
DDos trying to take the flank.
So DDos is going to look for better success in this next fight as they've swapped out the Mei, PDK Kid on the Mei to a McCree. See if do a little bit better job of checking that Pharah in the sky. However, that Pharah is going to continue to rain. Gets a second barrage in just a minute and a half. Ruru is going to take his own life. And finally, DDos has established himself on point, and that's going to force out the Bastion ult from Triage, but he's just not connecting on any kills. Drug going to knock off Crispy, and with 1 tick already, I don't think that Maelstrom has the point presence here. to win this fight. Crispy is going to get rezzed by Crossfade, and he's going to set up in a corner, utilize that Fortify, and just exist as long as he can as Farrah continues to rain in shots from above. However, Crispy is going to go in aggressively onto the Reinhardt, and that's going to be in poor form as she's going to be finished off. So with just Ruru left on the point, it looks like it's going to be a first point capture for DDos with about 140 remaining.
Maelstrom there didn't rotate like how they did last fight. That's the problem there, that they didn't rotate. It worked last time. I don't know why they didn't repeat it.
So Maelstrom going to make some changes as they go over to second point, with Reach swapping over to the Ana and Ruru hopping over to the Hanzo. And Triage hopping over to the Mei. So DDos working closely are going to run in. Johnny's going to throw it on the Shatter. It's going to knock down Nagisa. PK Kid going to throw it. An interesting high noon, but it's not going to get any kills. However, the kills are slowly coming out in favor of DDos. Crispy going to throw out that bunker, but it is widely exposed, and Mixed Ready's trying to get Crispy out from behind that shield. It's Johnny going to charge in. It's going to knock off Crispy off the point. He doesn't have Fortify, so he's going to fall. Ruru trying to throw some pot shots from the back, but DDos just whittling down each and every player of Maelstrom. Lamp comes out, but is quickly snuffed out by DDos. Nagisa knocked out a mech. Crispy swapping over the ball. They're already going over to stall comps because they know that the clear man advantages is in favor of DDos. And DDos working excellently as a team and just single focusing each target. Drug throws out the Reaper ult, finishes off Ruru and Reach, and with just Triage left from the point, things are not looking good for Maelstrom. Nagisa going to be able to touch. The grab is thrown out and Crossfade is caught in it and immediately deleted. Shatter comes out from It's Johnny. That's going to knock Crispy off the point, and that's 2 ticks already in favor of DDos. They're quickly capturing this point, but surprisingly, Maelstrom doing an excellent job of just hanging on, getting enough bodies on the point, but that is going to be it. DDos going to capture both points on Hanamura with 257 remaining.
DDos ruined held their momentum from point 1 to point 2, ruined Maelstrom's momentum, and completely dominated.
Absolutely, they made quick work of second. By the time the switches had been made from Maelstrom, DDos was already going up those stairs to that high ground and started working on Maelstrom. So as we wait for this next attack, be interested to see what kind of comps that DDos pulls out. I know they had picked up It's Johnny predominantly for his Orisa plays. That's kind of what they wanted to put a little more emphasis on, as that was one of the holes they had prior to his arrival. So let's see if they end up choosing another Orisa comp here, despite the fact that they're in Rhine on their attack.
DDos is coming out with the bunker, with the Bastion bunker.
What captures my eye most is Triage on the Symmetra. I wonder if
They're gonna try that teleport to the point and then bunker onto point.
And with that Mei wall, they'll be able to deny some lines of sight. And it looks like we have a pause here. Not quite sure why. We might have had a disconnect. Yep, it looks like Crispy. Of all times to disconnect, though, it's probably best that he disconnected now in between the fights.
Maybe Crispy was having some internet problems last point.
It very well might have been a tactical disconnect, but who knows? That being said, though, I have been particularly impressed with DDos here on Hanamura. They had a bit of a rough start on that first fight where Ruru had charged up that barrage in about 30 seconds. But since then, they looked quite solid on second point and had excellent target focus as they cleaned up the stall characters from Maelstrom.
Maelstrom with the Mei wall can block off the entrance to the point and let them set up. The Mei wall will buy them more time to set up. If Maelstrom can play it off perfectly, I feel like they can take the point really quick.
is indeed possible. Putting up that Maywall in front of that main gate really denies a lot of LOS
DDos.
uh, from PK Kid on the Bastion.
I don't agree with the Mora though from Maelstrom because of Bastion's insane fire rate. You won't be able to heal through that. I feel like if they take a Lucio, they can get to the point faster and have like faster movement because they don't have as much movement with the Orisa.
So it looks like Crispy having some internet issues. Looks like there's a local storm in his area, and that's knocked out his power. So we'll patiently await his return. Hmm. One thing in particular I've noticed coming out of the gates from DDoS is they've been putting a lot of time in for PDK Kid as well as its Johnny. PDK Kid, another recent pickup from for DDoS. Having talked with Rubik's, PDK Kid is really going to be their new hit scan DPS, and he really provides a lot of depth. Prior to his arrival to the team, DDoS was only sporting 2 DPS. So in the event either Merc or Druk weren't able to make it, they would just have to fail on that DPS slot. The big things that Rubik's pointed out for hit PDK Kid's skills were at Junkrat and Sombra. And although we haven't really seen it pulled out yet, I wouldn't be surprised to see it before the end of the match.
Sombra is a nice pick to help push with the first point with that the choke just being insanely hard to penetrate. Sombra can change the fight with a quick EMP.
Sombra kind of fallen out of the meta with the recent change, with the recent end of Goats. You primarily saw her on a couple control maps and running that patented Hack Fist with the Doomfist at her side. But with the transition to 222, it's primarily been a bunker centric meta. However, both of these teams have really not been afraid to shy away from it, pulling a lot of ball dives and Ryan Zarias from both teams. However, I think we have seen quite a bit more Arisa play today, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it more as the season goes on.
Orisa definitely meta now. Now that Ghost is dead, Ghost would just overrun bunker.
And with this Orisa meta, picks are more crucial than ever. You don't have those graviton surges to effectively win the fight. You know, the ults out of your tank lane in particular, the Bongo and the Whole Hog, while both effective in their own right, they really don't have that, you know, team wide potential that you can see from an Earth Shatter and the Graviton.
Crispy's still gone.
So one thing to consider as we wait for Crispy's return is that or teams only have about 6 minutes for timeouts before they are exhausted. So it's really uh, if at the request of DDoS they are able to start this game with Maelstrom being down Crispy until he returns. So it is crucial that in those instances of DCs that you get back as quickly as you can, or else you fear your team running the dreaded 5v6. And everyone knows what fun that provides in the ladder. It's even worse in organized team environments.
Especially when you have your main tank.
Yeah,
Uh,
especially your main tank of all people.
I mean, with the support, you can maybe do it, but not with the main tank, especially not on Hanamura and with the comp they're playing.
No, Maelstrom will definitely have to rethink their strategy if Crispy's not able to make it back in time. So with this recent patch change, we saw a lot of different changes across the board for many heroes. Were there any in particular hybrid that you found to be particularly like that you enjoyed the most? I guess is a simple way to put it.
Brigida, her rework, it she still has her same utility, but it's we're on pause.
Oop,
They are gonna
We
continue without Crispy.
sorry to interrupt, hybrid. As you were saying,
Yeah, with Brigida with her nerf, I mean she still has her heal, but I don't think it's gonna be enough to continue running gold. Well, you can't even run gold anymore in competitive because of the 2-2-2, but it does make
and
her more of a support.
that's right. You will have to play Brigitte in the support slot going forward. I think it's too early to say it's an outright nerf. I think it is a nerf in the traditional way that Brigitte was played. However, I don't think it's an outright nerf altogether. I think it's more uh, just a change in how you're going to play Brigitte going forward. The armor pack, the rally are still both strong in their own regard, but you know, Brigitte isn't effectively a DPS under the guise of a support hero. She's not near as lethal and far more killable than she used to be prior to this patch.
I still think she can be played in like an Orion Zarya comp, maybe a bunker, definitely not dive.
Oh, definitely not. She's too slow to be able to keep up with dive. The change I'm most interested in uh, is in the Reinhardt knockback change. In particular, it's his interaction with Doomfist. Doomfist is not near the bully to Reinhardt that he was prior to this patch. So I'm interested to see, despite this bunker centric comp, how Ryan can do, or how much better Ryan will be uh, against Doomfist comps.
A big counter at Orion is to have him repositioned
So
and have
Crispy is
stepping
back.
down.
So we'll be getting right back into this game. Thank you all for your patience up to this point. We promise not to hold out any longer. So Crispy gonna be coming up. Looks like,
We're gonna
as we
continue with
discussed,
our bunker comp.
yeah, that we discussed earlier, they'll be running that Symmetra as opposed to Reaper. I'm interested to see if that turns out to be the better payoff as opposed to swapping on the Mei. So PDK Kid setting up on that Bastion on the high ground as Maelstrom starts working their way to the choke. Symmetra is going to be looking for that entrance onto the teleporter. Ruru throws up the wall to prevent any LOS from the Bastion, and they're all going to teleport onto point. And they are now set up, and it is in, it's in DDos' ballpark now to get onto point and contest this point. However, it's not before It's Johnny falls, but is inevitably res. But the kills are slowly going in favor of Maelstrom, and it looks like they're going to be able to pick up this first point quite handedly. Excellent play from Ruber there, securing 3 final blows in that one fight.
Ruru
Make
was on
that
the flank
4.
Ow. Ruru was on the flank that entire time, uncontested.
Ruru already has a Blizzard up just one fight into the match. I wouldn't be surprised if you pull it out. However, you have to be weary of Rubik's on the Diva, as a quick E, or as the reaction time for Diva doesn't have to be too great for her to be able to scoop up that Blizzard and eat it. Looks like Triage is going to throw that teleporter down from main, setting it up, and just like that, they're on the high ground. Interesting choice there. They're going to leave Ruru on the point by herself, while the rest of them sit on the high ground, and they slowly start dropping their way onto point. PDK Kid, though, taking out Crispy and one other player. And unfortunately for Maelstrom, they're not going to be able to stay on point long enough, as the damage from PDK Kid is just too much.
DDos looking super organized there as Rubik's drops down and PD Kid stays on the high ground. Definitely a smart choice.
Nagisa and Crossfade staying around a little too long. Those staggers is going to be really painful, as Crispy, or half of Maelstrom's already back out of spawn, and these players are just now respawning. So excellent play there out of DDos to, react accordingly to that teleporter onto the high ground. Triage continuing to stay on the Symmetra. He does have his wall up. I wouldn't be surprised if they block off the high ground this time with the Symmetra wall. Triage again setting up that teleporter. They're going to teleport onto the low ground this time. And yes, Triage is going to throw that wall up so Bastion can't do any damage until they break that wall. The Gisa going to eat the Blizzard from Ruru. And Drug going to throw out one of his own, but it's only going to connect with Drug. And it's going to end too late for him. However, Maelstrom's still on point here. They have not, given up their footing yet. Reach going to throw out the Amp Matrix. However, the kills are slowly coming in from DDos. PDK Kid just raining havoc from above. And with Nagisa riskily getting back into her mech, they've already got one tick here. But I just don't think they're going to be able to get any more, as it's just Ruru and Nagisa left on the point. And that is a bold strategy from Nagisa to remech there, as she just fed DDos, an extra 500 HP's worth of ult charge.
Nagisa's E on Drugs. Blizzard definitely gave him the first tick with Blizzard. This is such a powerful ultimate, and for it to be cancelled by ability, it's big value for Maelstrom.
It's quite painful, as a Blizzard there could have been enough to turn the fight in favor of Maelstrom. So Chris, we're going to switch over to the Reinhardt now. They're going to stay otherwise the same. They've got Reach on the Ana as well, and Triage on the Reaper. So looking for a little bit more of an aggressive brawly comp here. Going to try and run into that Bastion. But that is going to be risky because they do have Stevenator with the Immortality Field. However, Rubik's is going to throw that bomb up. It's not going to connect with anything, but Crispy is going to fall, followed by Ruru and Triage. And it looks like Maelstrom is not going to be able to take this fight, and DDos is going to continue to hold. And it looks like they've already passed time for DDos. Like, Maelstrom's already going to be slower than DDos' time. Really strong showing from DDos' defense.
DDos definitely showing they are not underdogs here.
In particular, the Maelstrom just doesn't seem to have an answer for PDK Kid on the Bastion. DDos showing no fear, sitting up close. Maywell is going to come out from Ruru, both Drug and Ruru. Blizzard's going to be thrown, and it is going to get land this time. PDK Kid is frozen, but he's going to sneak out. He's stuck on point. Ruru going to freeze him again, but the ammo comes out. Both supports throwing all of their abilities into PDK Kid to make sure he survives. He's going to jump into that tank form, and he's going to knock out Crossfade and Crispy before being taken down by Triage. With just Triage and Ruru left in the point, Triage kind of stuck in the middle of everyone. He doesn't have any more abilities, and he's going to fall. However, that's not before Ruru gets both supports from Maelstrom. However, the spawn advantage is going to greatly favor that of DDos. So Ruru doing his best to just exist on point, but they just don't have the sustain from their supports to stay on it. So they're gonna have to go back to the drawing board. Looks like Nagisa kind of caught out all by herself, and the baby diva isn't quite sure what to do. She has to play really carefully, only about 50% to her next ult. But if she gets caught out, and it looks like Rubik's is on the hunt. Oh no, it's not. It'd be particularly bad if Nagisa gets staggered this late into the fight. However, Nagisa is stuck all by herself on these stairs in the low ground, as Maelstrom is working their way up onto the high ground and about ready to take this next fight. They're going to bait up the wall from Drug and find their engagement. They're going to wall off that Bastion. However, Ruru is going to fall from the damage boosted PDK Kid. The Nano is going to come out onto Crispy. He's going to throw off his shadow, but it's not going to do any value, as PDK Kid just sits unchecked, continually raining in those Bastion bullets and melting down each member of Maelstrom.
Huge nade by Reach there. Hit 3 of DDos, but Stevenator comes in with Immortality. It saves everybody. Big play by Stevenator.
In the eyes of DDos, they might as well consider PDK Kid Donald Trump, because they are doing everything to say, "Get down, Mr. President." So Triage gonna go down main here, gonna set up on point, walling off PDK Kid. The lamp is the Matrix is gonna come out, as well as a lot of ults from DDos. Crispy's gonna be the first to fall, and Nagisa knocked out a mech. Triage is gonna throw out that Death Blossom, but with 3 players already down, it is not looking great for Maelstrom to be able to take this point. However, they've gotten 2 kills, or a handful of kills here. There's just 3 of them left on point, and one of them is a Baby D.Va. Baby D.Va falls. It's just the Moira and Ruru on the Mei. She's going to fall. And it looks like DDos is going to successfully hold Maelstrom on this second point of Hanamura.
DDos looking very organized there with their plays and how they played everything so calmly.
The PDK kid on the Bastion just getting so much work, getting the lamp committed to him, getting the damage boosted mercy, getting the matrix, everything thrown at him to just allow him to pop off. DDos throwing all of their resources to make sure that PDK kid can do what he wants on that Bastion, and Maelstrom just didn't have an answer for it. They couldn't quite seem to find that engagement. By the time they would get to him, a lamp would be up to keep him alive. Players on their team would have fallen, and we're 1-1 heading into halftime now. So it's definitely a close match here. I had my concerns with, DDos out of the gate. They did not have a strong start on Lighthouse. They looked a little bit better on Well, but it still wasn't enough to be able to take that map victory. So for them to come on to Hanamura, after giving up a, first point on that first fight, to be able to lock down, prevent Maelstrom from getting, but more than a tick and a half, and, inevitably with their 2 points, take that map victory. I got to say I'm quite impressed. And I don't think that DDos is as a slouch in this game at all. And with that, we'll be heading over to halftime. We'll be back in about 10 minutes or so, and we'll be taking you to the Pug favorite Kings Row. So stay tuned, and we'll see you then. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are all knotted up at as we end halftime 1-1 between Maelstrom and DDos. Maelstrom coming strong out of the gate on Helios, but they fell short on Hanamura. They just quite didn't have an answer for Bastion. Hybrid, you want to elaborate a little more on that?
Yeah, DDoS obviously the superior bunker team. Maelstrom just couldn't break through their second point. 6 minute hold and they only let off one tick. Played very organized by DDoS. Um, a, a play that I wanted to like kind of talk about is how their off tank jumped down with their May and made May wall the diva to hold the point, and then they stayed on the high ground, and took them off their high ground, and then cleaned up the fight.
Excellent job, really by Rubik's to keep that point contested and allow for PDK Kid with that Arisha shield around him to just rain terror from above. Really, Maelstrom had to get that Bastion out first, and they just rather let that Bastion exist. And quite frankly, Bastion just does too much damage in turret form to allow for to let that happen. They threw everything at them, that sim wall, the May wall, everything, but again, they just couldn't seem to find that answer. So next up, we'll have Kings Row, and Kings Row isn't quite a Bastion-centric map, so TDOS is gonna have to go back to the drawing board on this one. I don't think they're gonna be able to use Bastion. I wouldn't be surprised to see it though. However, I wouldn't really put a lot of faith in it. What do you think DDoS and even Maelstrom might be running here?
Uh, Orion Zarya comp is kind of um played on this map, and DDoS can't play the Orion Zarya. They are maybe one of their superior comps. Dive is definitely not their superior comp.
No, Dive has definitely seen a significant amount of decrease in play, at least the Winston Diva variation. Every now and then you'll see the Ball, or you'll see, the Ball Monkey or Ball Diva, as Ball just has so much more living potential than the Winston. So we'll see. I wouldn't expect to see any Dive. I think Reinzari is a fairly safe bet. But honestly, Bunker Comp isn't too shabby on here as well. A lot of narrow spaces allow for very consistent halt hooks, as you only have to shoot it above the shield to get that hook off. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of comps these two teams pull out here.
Maelstrom coming out from the bunker. And of course, DDoS on the Ryan Zarya with the Lucio.
I'm interested to see how the Misty Merc on the Widow is going to play out here. It's got some good sightlines, but excuse me, after seeing the bunker comp that Maelstrom pulled out, I don't know if they're going to get a lot of sightlines. What do you think about that hybrid?
Something that I have seen in like professional VODs and stuff like that. When Goats was played on defense here on Kings Row, people usually come out with the Widow Pharah. Widow Pharah, it has worked in the past, and I can see DDoS pulling it off.
So Maelstrom going to be sitting up on that high ground with that Bastion shield. It's Johnny looking for that point of entry. He's kind of deciding where to go. He looks like he's just taking his time for a moment, trying to figure out what the best pathing to go is. They're going to throw up the wall in front of that Bastion so he has no sight lines, and they're going to quickly run to point. Mountainfall is going to have to be that one to sit up on point, but he's already getting frozen by that Mei and chunked down by that Reaper. He's already out of mech. So now Ruru's going to have to drop on the point. He gets the freeze onto Reinhardt, but he's quickly bubbled and saved. The Immortality field is dropped down, but kills are coming in favor of DDoS, and Maelstrom's gonna need to get on this point, and if they plan to keep it. However, it looks like they're gonna be too late, and they're just gonna give the point to DDoS here and slowly, die on point. There was a huge boot by Mix there to get some of Maelstrom off the high ground. Interesting decision there. You want to have that that Diva drop down, but she just got instantly obliterated. Hybrid, do you think running this bunker comp was really the best strategy for Maelstrom?
Bunker comp is really strong on point one, but I don't think it's their strongest comp. Maybe if it was organized more, maybe spraying more often, it would have been the answer.
So it's Johnny showing no fear here, throwing out those swings, but he's going to get walled off. The Coalescence comes out, but it's not going to be enough to save It's Johnny. However, kills are still coming in favor of DDos as Triage, Crispy, and Ruru are all down. Mountainfall is going to get knocked out of the mech. Misty Merc getting aggressive with Mix, trying to get that Ana kill, and they successfully do. And it looks like DDos is going to cruise their way through second point.
Definitely dominant play by DDos, not stopping their momentum and just rushing through point 2.
You know, the DDos playing this a lot like Ghosts, where they're just kind of running into the enemy team and just whittling them down. Mountainfall does manage to contest before second point, and the Blizzard does come out from Ruru before he falls. Triage is going to just chunk down It's Johnny. However, returning Blizzard is going to be thrown out by Drugs. Triage on the Reaper is going to get knocked down. Crispy out of the Fortify. His time on this point is limited as he has no support. And just like that, second point is going to go in favor of DDos.
Maelstrom did look like they were going to take the point there to hold the point off the second point, but DDos invested their ultimates into the fight and secured the point.
And they only had to do that with the Blizzard. They still have 4 more ultimates online, and they're coming up on Coalescence. That being said, Misty Mark gets caught with his pants down as Ruru and Mountainfall come in and secure the kill on him before the fight even starts. Hulk's going to come out from Crispy, but that's just going to slow down the Reinhardt more than anything. Wall comes out from Drugs as he freezes Crispy, but no kills are going to come of it. Mountainfall going to contest the point. Slam going to come from Johnny. It's going to connect with 3, but there's just not enough follow-up. Bomb's going to be thrown. Stevenator gonna fall from Mountainfall bomb. Misty Merc gonna throw out the Reaper ult. He's gonna get 1, but not before he's headshotted down by Triage. And then I'm gonna come on to Mountainfall here as he just is going to exist in the point. Shield's running low for It's Johnny. He really needs to get some gauge here as he has no more shield and is eventually gonna be knocked down. All that's left is Drug, and he's gonna jump off the map as best he can. And that is gonna be the first hold that we've seen out of Maelstrom thus far.
DDos,
So we're not.
oh, go ahead.
No, after you.
DDos, they did secure the first point with the Reaper, and so Triage goes on the Widow to counter the Reaper. Hard play by Triage.
Ruru gonna get the lucky Hanzo headshot, as it's called, on the Misty Merc, and that's gonna cause DDos to go back and wait for that respawn. Wise of them to not take that 5v6. Halt's gonna come out from Crispy. It's gonna get Johnny out there. He's gonna take a little bit of chip damage, but he's gonna be able to get out with limited damage.
No one can hide from my sight.
So Triage is gonna throw out that eyesight, see if she can get a headshot now that she knows where the enemy team is. Ooh. Pause coming out there. So the action's going to commence again. Dragon's gonna come out there. Blizzard's gonna be thrown by Drugs, but it's gonna be eaten by Mountainfall. Triage gonna connect a headshot on a Stevenator, and Crossfade gonna knock out Misty Merc. It looks like this fight's gonna be going in favor of Maelstrom, but not before DDos takes out 2.
Mix ready.
Or 3, excuse me.
Mix ready did invest the sound barrier in there. Maybe not the smartest choice because they wear down the fight.
Mix Ready showing the Reddit Lucio skills that he has and takes down Ruru. The Mountainfall gonna be knocked out of the mech, gonna commit that bomb just to secure his life, but it's gonna be too little too late as the rest of Maelstrom is getting knocked down. The Nano gonna be thrown onto Mountainfall, but it's not gonna be enough as she's knocked out of the mech. Crispy gonna throw out those bongos, but there just isn't enough players alive on the side of Maelstrom to really make significant damage. It's Johnny just gonna run into that and slam or destroy that bongo. Grab gonna come out on the side of DDos. It's gonna get another kill, and just like that, Maelstrom's already in stagger swap mode. Drug is just sitting on point, freezing Mountainfall on the Wrecking Ball. And with 2 players left and Mixed Ready now reaching the point, Drug's gonna commit that Blizzard, and that should be enough for DDos to secure the 3rd point of Blizzard, or excuse me, of King's Row, with 2 minutes 6 seconds remaining.
Drug is getting that 3K with the Blizzard, which is something very weird to see, that the Blizzard kills 3 people.
Indeed it is. Even with Mountainfall having to swap off, couldn't play Diva to eat that Blizzard. They had to go on to Wrecking Ball to, continue that stall as best they could, which just left Drugs unchecked on that Mei to get any freeze and any Blizzard off that he so pleased. So Maelstrom gonna have to go back to the drawing board, figure out what they can do on attack to, either get as good of or matching, if not better, time here on King's Row. Who do you think Hybrid was really the catalyst for DDos there on their attack?
Merc definitely on the flank as the Reaper, then switching up to the Hanzo, showing that he can play projectile, not just hit scan.
Merc showing off excellent Reaper play, and only to be complimented by the excellent play at a Drug. While Merc was going on those cheeky flanks as Reaper, Drug was just setting up on point and freezing anything that came in his way. So as we look at these comps for Maelstrom as they're going to come out of spawn on their attack, they've got the Pharmacy and the Widowmaker as their primary DPS with the Rein Zarya. Now, Maelstrom not running the Lucios, so their Rein Zarya is going to be very slow, and that can be very punishing against the bunker comp that DDos is sporting. So Ruru going to start raining down those fair shots as this Johnny and the rest of DDos continue to just exist on point. The Halt Hook going to come out, but that boop from Ruru is going to be too much and displace them from an effective Halt Hook. Mason Merrick going to get the lucky Hanzo headshot on the Triage. And Ruru doing an excellent job of just booping those tanks from behind that shield and allowing for the rest of Maelstrom to just get some poke damage onto the DDos. It's Johnny, though, is going to finish off Ruru. Halt Hook's going to come out, but that Rein Shield's going to prevent anything from happening. Triage going to get the headshot on Misty Merc. So it's Johnny and the rest of DDos need to back up, give a little space there, because sitting out in that Widow sideline is going to be really dangerous. Mountainfall running into that team, showing no fear, and Ruru now joining into the mix, throwing a lot of damage onto DDos. Ant Matrix is going to come out from Mix Ready. They're just not going to get enough damage, and two members of DDos fall, and Crispy throws out that slam as insurance to solidify Maelstrom securing this first point.
Big shatter from Crispy.
It was a bit of an X-Fest, but as a Reinhardt, I understand, as a former Reinhardt player, I understand the need to flex and show off that you already have a shatter. So Maelstrom, point is just now leaving spawn, but Crispy already taking a lot of space here. Unfortunately, the rest of his team just not getting a lot of value behind the shield outside of Mountainfall. Widow briefly sets up on the Triage, briefly sets up on the high ground, but he's going to fall as the poke damage from It's Johnny is going to be a little bit too much for him. But he's going to set back up there. And again, It's Johnny doing an excellent job of focusing that Widow as soon as she takes the high ground. However, Triage is going to sneak a headshot onto Stevenator. Excellent play by doing that around the Orisa shield. And with one player advantage, It's Johnny and the rest of the DDos are going to have to forfeit a bit of space here. They have to play a bit safer. Blizzard is going to be thrown out by Drugs, and it's going to connect with three people, and they're trying to get their way, get some kills. They try to secure it on Crispy, but he's going to get nanoed and throw the shatter behind and stop any momentum that DDos had. The whole hog, the bongo are going to be committed from DDos, and they're going to start playing aggressively now. And it looks like, despite a valiant effort, a great shatter there from Crispy, Maelstrom's going to have to go back, retreat, and take another fight. With no shield, he's going to get Crispy's going to get Halt Hooked and finished off by Misty Merc, but not before Triage returns the favor on with the Widow headshot.
Maelstrom did invest a bunch of ultimates there, but a lot of counter ultimates coming in from DDos. DDos still has the ult advantage after that fight.
So It's Johnny going to set up in a pretty aggressive position here. There's still a little bit of space between him and Maelstrom, but not a lot. Crispy showing no disregard for, showing no disregard for that shield, running right through it. Grab's going to be thrown out by Mountainfall, but the lamp is going to negate those effects. The lamp's going to be destroyed, and the Blizzard by Ruru is going to be enough secure 3 kills, and the payload is going to keep moving in favor of Maelstrom.
Nick's ready, trying to save his team with the land there, but Maelstrom completely focused it.
It was good to counter the grab, but the freeze, it just kept the rest of DDos preoccupied for too long. They couldn't do anything, and it allowed for Maelstrom to just whittle down that lamp and secure those kills. So now it's Johnny and Rubik's gonna switch over to the Ryan Zarya. The Nano's gonna be committed to It's Johnny early, but a huge counter shot from Crispy. He's gonna finish off 3 kills. And just like that, the payload's gonna keep moving. Excellent counter shatter by Crispy. Already had 3 shatters this fight. He is showing little to no fears on Reinhardt. He's not afraid of that Orisa, and he's sure as heck not afraid of that It's Johnny on the Reinhardt. So Drug gonna throw out the Blizzard early, but it's gonna be too short, and it's gonna allow for the rest of Maelstrom to retreat. But it is gonna allow for DDos to get control of the payload here. So now it's a battle of Ryans. It's Johnny being aggressive. Walt's gonna come out, and it's gonna block It's Johnny from the rest of his team, and that's gonna allow for Crispy to get the quick charge and finish the kill. Another shatter from Crispy. He's gonna come out, and that's gonna be 1, 2, and almost 3 more kills.
Somebody stop
Drug's
him.
gonna barely sneak away, but eventually he's gonna succumb to the hammer of Crispy, and just like that, Maelstrom is gonna be rolling into that final checkpoint with 2:43 remaining on the clock.
Crispy definitely showing that he is the superior Reinhardt here over Johnny.
Absolutely. You know, at that first fight when the Nano was committed to It's Johnny and, you know, Crispy throws out that counter shatter, I figured, okay, they're on even playing ground now. It'll be a little bit more fair on the Ryan 1v1 going forward. But that was just not the case. Crispy getting insane amounts of damage out on Reinhardt, constantly getting those ults. I think we had 3 shatters on the 3rd point of King's Row alone, which is just absurd. So
Ready for battle.
It's Johnny and the rest of DDos are going to be on the attack first now, as they did have less time than Maelstrom, about a 37-second difference. In the scheme of things, it's not too much time. It's maybe about a fight, maybe 2 fights worth of time's difference, which can be important, but I don't think that will be the case tonight. So it looks like both teams are going to be running the Ryan Zarya going into this match. However, the DPS between the two are vastly different. Hybrid, who do you think has the advantage here between the DPS lineups?
Definitely Maelstrom with the Widow. She has insane range over Reaper. Reaper has to get close, but Mix on the Lucio is gonna help Merc on the Reaper to get in to close in.
They're really gonna have to close that gap, because the amount of time they leave with that gap open is gonna be allow for triage on the Widow to get headshots onto any of the opposing team of DDos. So DDos getting aggressive on the point. They get the wall Maywall up to block up the Widow. It's Johnny's gonna fall in the meantime. So DDos quickly retreating, but not before triage picks off Mix Ready on the exit. Misty Merc still on point, trying to get out as quickly as he can, but he's also going to fall.
Definitely the smart play there from DDos to retreat and get in another fight, get another strong fight.
It's Johnny really has to be a little bit more careful with his aggression, as Crispy and company are just getting him eliminated before he can really provide much value. So DDos slowly working their way towards point again. A little bit slower this time. Junkrat Mine's gonna knock a bunch of people into the air. And It's Johnny on point now. The Ryan duel is slowly starting to begin. The shield for It's Johnny is just not enough. He's gonna drop his shield for less than a second and just be obliterated by the rest of Maelstrom. Stevenator gonna commit the coalescence, but Triage just doing work, gets back-to-back headshots, and that's gonna be enough for Maelstrom to continue to hold this point.
I'm on fire.
Triage picks up a 2K and does secure the hold on point 1.
The ultimate advantage is not looking good for DDos. The Maelstrom coming up on 5 ultimates now to only DDos's 1. So sides are going to be popped by Triage. Rubik switching over to the D.Va to help keep that D.Va in check and eat some of those Junkrat mines. Johnny gonna throw that Shatter out with little to no health, but it is gonna land, and that's gonna be enough to knock out Crispy. Mix ready throwing out the beat. Johnny gonna be slept. Junkrat nanoed, but It's Johnny continuing to hold that point presence. Mountainfall gonna throw out the grab, and that's gonna be enough for It's Johnny and Stevenator to fall. It's just 3 left for DDos on point. Make that 2. Mix ready falls to triage, and Ruru on the Junkrat just waits for Drug to come out of that May Ice block, and that is gonna be a successful full hold from Maelstrom here in overtime on King's Row.
Score.
Crispy again, definitely showing he's a superior Reinhardt over Johnny.
Sides.
Johnny playing too aggressive, but Crispy's punishing him for that.
Initiating.
Now, I will give it that It's Johnny was able to land a strong shatter that allowed for DDos to get on point and establish a point presence, but Triage on that Widow just sat comfortably on the high ground, really didn't get checked much by anyone from DDos, and we're going to be taking a quick time out as Misty Merc from DDos is going to restart his internet, hopefully get a little bit better ping. As we know, ping is the villain of all video games.
Or it could have been a tactical pause so they can figure out what kind of comps to play, as Crispy is showing, again, being the superior Reinhardt.
That's right. This pause does allow for DDos to go to the drawing board, kind of think about what they need to do. They do have 2 minutes and 43 seconds that they need to hold Maelstrom from getting that 1 tick on the first point, or else this map is going to go in favor of Maelstrom. And you really don't want to be down 2-1 heading into that 4th map. It really puts a lot of pressure onto your team. So I'm interested to see whether or not It's Johnny is going to continue to play Reinhardt, or if they're going to go back to a bunker comp. What do you think, Hybrid?
DDoS is their superior comp is Orisa Hog, but Triage again on the Widow with the same range with 1 pick, making the team fight a 5v6 is definitely gonna help Maelstrom. Maybe that's the pick. Triage, Ruru on the Junkrat.
Now, Merc for DDoS has, been swapping to that Widow to try and help counter Triage. However, it's generally a reactive pick as opposed to a proactive pick. So generally what's happening is DDoS is taking a fight with that Widow going unchecked and inevitably losing it. And then they have to make that swap over, Merc makes that swap over to Widow. But in that time, all of Maelstrom has been able to start accruing ults, including Triage. He's going to get sides faster. He's going to have that extra jump on Merc on the DDoS Widow. So I guess the question becomes then, will Merc come out of spawn on the Widow this time, or are they going to allow for Triage to continue to play that Widow relatively unchecked?
Merc on the Widow can be better. It does look like Triage has a better aim, but if DDoS communicates where the Widow's at, Merc can take out Triage to help them win the fight and hopefully hold them for 2 minutes and 43 seconds.
And it was quite an impressive display from both teams on both of their attacks. DDoS looking very strong, capping that point with 2 minutes left. Only for Maelstrom to return that favor with an even better time. Both teams showing that they feel quite comfortable on King's Row. And you just didn't see that level of comfort from Maelstrom on Hanamura that you did with DDoS, and how they felt very comfortable running that Bastion bunker comp.
Hanamura is also an Orisa map, and DDoS has the superior Orisa Hog players bunker comp. Definitely shows in the Hanamura.
With DDoS likely pulling out another bunker comp, that seems to be their go-to for that first point defense. I'll be interested to see if they try to mock or mimic what Maelstrom did, and set up on that high ground overlooking the point, or if they'll continue to play that low ground, which is exceptionally risky considering, excuse me, Triage hasn't been shy playing that Widow. Do you think they're better off setting up on that low ground, or do you think they should establish themselves on the high ground first?
If they do hold up on the high ground, Triage won't have enough space or even sightlines on them. If they do hold up high ground, Triage is gonna have to switch to something more of a shield break, like a Hanzo or even a Pharah. Rue can be on the Pharah, Triage on the Hanzo. Shield break is definitely their go-to if they do hold up there.
All right, and it looks like we'll be returning to the action now. I agree wholeheartedly. The one thing that DDoS would have to be careful with if they do set up on the high ground is not succumbing to the same fate that Maelstrom did, where they just lacked that point present and gave up the entire point basically for free because they just weren't ready to deal with all of the players rushing to point and playing out of that Bastion LOS.
They are coming out on bunker, which is as expected as a bunker team, and Triage on the Widow and Rue on the Pharah.
They will be running that Bastion this time, and just like Maelstrom did on their defense, looks like it's going to be setting up in that exact same spot. For Maelstrom, they're going to be running the same composition they ran on their previous attack with that Pharmacy and the Widow to complement the Rein Zarya and the Ana. So let's see if it's Johnny and DDoS will be able to play their defense better than Maelstrom did, running that same composition. So the poking phases come out. A huge boop there by Ruru is going to knock all of DDoS off the high ground, but not before Misty Merc secures the kill on both the players of the Pharmacy. Now Rubik's going to work his way to point and just exist as much long as he can. Drug going to work his way down too, as well as Misty work. The whole team's going to drop down. Lamp's going to be committed by Stevenator. And looks like DDoS is going to be able to successfully hold this first point. Excellent play there by Mr. Merc. Would you not agree, Hybrid?
Yeah, a play that I do want to point out is Rubik's jumped up the point, led the entire team to the other side of the point, and then DDoS set up on the behind them, and
yet another huge boop by Ruru as he knocks off 4 players again. But there's just not enough follow-up on the side of Maelstrom, as these boops are providing a lot of value, but they're just not taking advantage of it. Misty Merc continues to sit up on that high ground and rain damage. Another boop, and this time it is going to knock Bastion down, and he's going to be eliminated by the members of Maelstrom. Drug going to return the favor on the Sombra. The Lamp's going to be committed, and that's going to allow for the res to occur onto the Bastion. He's going to set up behind that Lamp, and he's just going to melt. But not before Rudo throws a big barrage, and that's going to kill 4 people and knock the Diva out of Mac. And just like that, Maelstrom is going to pull up the victory here on King's Row.
Ruru definitely the MVP for that point, for that fight. Getting a 5K with the Diva.
Absolutely impressive. He was constantly knocking players off. And I'm not going to lie, when Merc was rezzed under that Lamp, I thought, oh no, you know, DDoS is going to be able to keep this fight going in their favor. And then just out of nowhere comes the barrage from Ruru, clearly showing that he is come to play today. 29% of the hero damage for him, for his team, really lighting it up. I have to say, he's looking like the strongest player for Maelstrom tonight.
DDoS doesn't have to figure out how to counter Ruru, because Ruru was definitely the MVP for that entire round, not consistently knocking people down, and then with the 5K, the barrage.
I would have to say, Maelstrom is most lethal with that with their DPS duo of Ruru and Triage. Ruru showing excellent Triage showing excellent Widow play, and it's only being complemented by Ruru, whether he's playing the Pharaoh or he's playing the playing the Hanzo. Oof, I'll get it eventually.
Next map we do have is Watchpoint Gibraltar, which is another 2CP map, which DDoS did show that they are really good at 2CPs. Oh, actually, no. Watchpoint Gibraltar is the S card. My bad.
Hey, that's quite all right. Happens to the best of us. So we are going to see a couple swaps come in. Looks like Nagisa will be coming in for Mountain. And Reach will be substituted out by Squash Head, excuse me.
Triage did say that Ruru was somebody that we should watch, correct?
Correct. And he's certainly shown that he is worth watching. I think most notably tonight, his Pharah has just been insanely unchecked by DDoS. They really need to find an answer for it. And with that, we'll be heading into this last map, which is a potentially last map of Watchpoint Gibraltar. DDoS gonna need to cover more distance in order to force that map 5, or the victor will be heading in favor of Maelstrom tonight.
Initiating match.
So it'll be interesting to see what kind of comps we should expect here. You know, not only is bunker always a safe pick, but you can also see some dive here. There's quite a lot of high ground. With what we've seen of these teams so far, do you expect to see continued dive, or excuse me, continued bunker? Do maybe they throw out some more divey comps?
DDoS, they can't play bunker on this map, but DDoS isn't the best at bunker. Maelstrom, having the superior snipers, is very strong on this point.
Ready for battle.
Mm-hmm. And it
This
looks
team
like
coming now on the Widow.
mhm,
Triage.
it looks like DDoS showing a double bunker sniper, which is a pretty common pick here. Maelstrom showing a Ryan Diva. Interesting choice here. You know, Reinhardt is going to be challenged this map. However, Crispy showing he is quite skilled in his Reinhardt play, being able to build up those shatters quickly, even when facing enemy Orisas. However, that shield war is going to greatly favor DDoS, as that Orisa can just constantly be rotating out her shield.
1. Attackers incoming.
So DDoS is going to set up on point here. Crispy and the rest of Maelstrom just holding that high ground, trying to whittle down that Orisa shield. And it is going to be enough. There's just a lot of poke right now. Teams are kind of scouting each other out, looking for that opportunity for entry. Crispy is going to drop down, and he's going to be committing himself to this fight, and the rest of Maelstrom will be joining him. The big ante comes out, and it looks like Misty Merc is going to find the head of Triage, and that's going to give a man advantage in favor of DDoS. Now the rest of Maelstrom quickly backing up, giving them some space as they know they're down one player. Misty Merc trying to get some headshots from a cheeky angle above. So while DDoS continues to hold point and provide pressure below, Misty Merc trying to provide pressure above, but Triage is going to connect with a headshot. Nano's going to be committed to Crispy. He's going to throw out a big shadow. That's going to connect with 3. However, the only thing that's going to come of it looks like it might be just a Diva DMAC, but it's not even going to be that. Only Stevenator is going to fall, and he's going to be quickly rezzed up. So excellent shatter there by Crispy, but just not enough to follow up. Jug going to throw the Hanzo Dragons, and that's going to connect with both supports of Maelstrom, so they're going to have to back up, and that's 2 more that fall. With only 2 players left, Maelstrom going to strategically back up, provide them some space and regroup. They might have an opportunity at a second fight here, but it's going to be close.
We need to see Rubik use his Diva mech. Maybe with a fat finger, maybe he can get the hit shift.
Yeah, a little bit of an oopsie daisy. It happens to the best of us, but Maelstrom gonna get on point. They're gonna find trading blows between the two. Point is not gonna be captured, and it looks like Maelstrom slowly getting the pick advantage, but it looks like it's about pick for pick here. Ruru gonna chunk down the Orisa, and it looks like 2 players are left, but that favors DDoS, and with just Diva and Baptiste, they're gonna be able to secure that first point. So they've got a bit of a long, return from some of the people who got the bad spawn, the original spawn. So it's gonna give time for Maelstrom to get set up and comfortable with where they want to be.
No one
So
can
Triage and both Widows are gonna
Sides
pop
from both
their
sides.
Widow sights. It looks like we're gonna see a Widow duel, but showing a lot of backup is the rest of DDoS to help Misty Merc. But it looks like nothing's gonna come of that. Lamp's gonna be thrown out by the Baptiste, as well as the Diva bomb, and that's just gonna land on the high ground. It's not gonna connect with anything. So a lot of ults being thrown, but not a lot of value is gonna be coming out of them. However, we're seeing a lot of kills in the neutral game here, as 2 players from, or one player from Maelstrom is going to fall. Triage is going to connect with the head of Drug. The nano is going to be committed to Crispy, but a huge pullback is going to prevent that shatter from connecting with anyone. However, Crispy and company are going to continue to walk forward and slowly chunk down the rest of DDos. That is a successful hold.
Huge hold from Johnny as he did pull the Crispy back and did block the shatter. Amazing hold.
Unfortunately, it was just not enough as Ruru on the Genji just helped finish out those kills. Already 85% onto his blade. However, he's not going to have that nano for quite some time, so I'll be wondering if they'll be throwing that blade more or less dry, you know, without that nano.
A naked blade.
Well said, well said. So, Rubik's going to swap off to the Wrecking Ball, so they're going to be running that Ball Diva. Triage is going to find the head of Misty Merc, but Mix Ready is going to be there on the res. Lamp has to be committed as It's Johnny is down to 1/8 HP. Bomb and Blade are going to be thrown from Maelstrom. Ruru gonna finish off 3 with his blade. Excellent dash. Connecting with both Drug and Stevenator. Ruru, just lighting up that kill feed. He cannot be stopped tonight, can he, Hybrid?
Obviously showing that he's the best, one of the best DPS down here in the Harmony tier.
His projectile play is certainly to be feared. So, a couple ults online, quite a few ults online for DDos. They're gonna make the swap over to Ashe. Triage is going to throw those sights early, get an idea of where DDos is coming from. However, all of them are playing behind that shield to prevent any significant damage from the Widow. The BAP ult is going to be thrown out, as well as the Dragon from DDos, but that's not going to connect with anyone. Big shatter there by Crispy, but it's not going to find anything. Lamp is thrown out. Or Immortality Focus is going to be thrown out. Nano's committed to Crispy, but he's just swinging out air, unfortunately. And again, this fight is going to continue even longer, with neither team being able to find a kill. A big anti thrown by Maelstrom, but DDos is going to successfully retreat. However, Misty Merc going to be caught out on the Ashe by Triage. Mine's thrown out there from Rubik's. He's going to get crossfade on the Ana. And Maelstrom backing up a little bit, giving themselves some space. Another lamp thrown, or excuse me, Matrix thrown by... and then a blade is going to now come out from Ruru. He's going to connect with Drug. He's going to be swinging. He's going to kill that Immo, and that's about it. However, he's still in the thick of it. Going to stealthily dodge out. This has been quite the long and drawn-out fight. DDos just unwavering, though. Big slam in there from Rubik's to pop some people up, but it's not going to find anything. Triage, again, keeping Misty Merc in check with another headshot. Mongo's going to be committed by It's Johnny. Drug going to find Triage. He's diving in. He's looking for damage. There's Ruru in the back line doing pick damage. A big shatter bomb combo there from Crispy and Nagisa. I would expect to see that on the weekly highlight montage. Nagisa making himself a namesake, or made a stay there with his excellent Diva bombs. And all that's left in the point is Mix Ready with that Battle Mercy, a valiant effort. Drug going to swoop in and try to exist the point, but he's antied and dead. So it's just Rubik's, It's Johnny, and Stevenator, but it's just not going to be enough as Maelstrom going to successfully hold all of DDos on the second point of Watch Point to Gibraltar. I have to say, Hybrid, DDos was looking pretty good entering second point. Maelstrom was just ready. They didn't. I have to say, the DPS line is continuing to light it up. I'm having a tough time deciding who's better, Triage or Ruru. Who would you have to give the map MVP or this first map MVP to, Hybrid?
Definitely Triage. Triage just countering Merc. He's not letting Merc do anything. Any swaps. Widow. Triage did get sights faster than Merc. At one point, they did have the same time, procced at the same time, and then Triage, he got his sights faster than Merc, and then when Triage wasn't, doing his best, Ruru came in and definitely backed him up. Very strong DPS duo.
Absolutely. We saw Misty Merc play the Widow, Ashe, and McCree, and none of them were able to keep Triage in check. Triage just kept getting pick after pick, and it only seemed to be happening to Misty Merc. And while that happened, Ruru on the Genji was just getting final blow after final blow on the rest of DDos.
Drug did switch over to the Genji, but I feel like he could have focused Triage more often to pressure him and get Triage. Make sure Triage doesn't click their heads as often as he did.
And an interesting composition here from Maelstrom as they're running the dive with the Doomfist. Doomfist pretty strong in this map, but Triage gonna make that last second swap to Widow. I can't say I blame him for as much value as he's been getting this map. So Maelstrom gonna look up, start setting up for that dive, looking for that point of entry. Ruru going right in, finishing off Misty Merc. He's gonna be the first to fall. Rubik's gonna come up there and try to keep those two in check. But he's got no jump jet, so he's gonna take a lot of damage. Triage gonna finish off Drug. And only crossfade on the point, but that's all they need, as the rest of Maelstrom is just dominating this high ground and picking off Maelstrom DDos, excuse me, one by one. So it's Johnny and company will be setting up here, looking for better results than what they did in that first half. Misty Merc on the Reaper now. Again, it's not going to be enough to try to counter that Reaper. However, Drug is going to, Widowmaker, excuse me, and Drug's going to do that for them. And looks like Maelstrom's going to have to back up. I have to say, I thought Maelstrom was going to have this first point in the bag, but it looks like everything just fell apart. What do you think went wrong for Maelstrom there?
Honestly, it was just a giant mess. I couldn't really tell what was going on, but I did see that Ruru was trying to farm his blade, but just couldn't farm it fast enough to secure the second point.
Hey, a mess is well said. You know, if everyone's kind of all over the place, there's no clear target focus. It just allows for DDos to just get set back up, and with no one dying because of all that spread out damage, you know, it allowed for them to keep into this. So Maelstrom gonna jump in and dive onto that Stevenator on the end, and it's gonna finish him off. Ruru gonna throw out that blade. He's already got 3. The Nano's gonna come in late, but not that it really matters, as it looks like Maelstrom is gonna successfully dive their way through this point.
The way they dived it on us, it was super coordinated. They picked the target and then they succeeded on killing the target as a team.
Ruru getting aggressive. They're jumping into that backline as they're coming out of spawn. Stevenator is gonna fall from the combined help of Maelstrom, and again, DDos just has to keep running back and giving up all the space as Maelstrom is just constantly running them over. Crispy to commit an aggressive Winston ult. He's already in their spawn, throwing him out with that Winston ult, but he's gonna get slept. DDos, or another blade from Ruru. The beat's gonna have to be committed from mixed ready, and that's quite unfortunate. They have to commit your beat in your own spawn. So it looks like with this man advantage, DDos is gonna be able to take control of this point, and Maelstrom's gonna have to back up. I don't know if that aggressive play from Crispy and Ruru was worth it. I mean, sure, you commit out beat, but at what cost?
You do lose B. Now they don't have B for the fight. They could have just taken that blade and reset, a full reset.
Crispy gonna swap over to the Reinhardt, and given his performance tonight, I can't say I blame him. It's Johnny on the monkey now. He's gonna drop down. He's gonna start doing some damage. A big anti, a big shatter, and just like that, It's Johnny has been eliminated. But Misty Merc coming back with a 3K on the Reaper ult, and he's gonna finish off the Ryan too. Absolutely clutch play by Misty Merc there. Maelstrom just was not ready for that. So we
go ahead.
Nanoblade online now for DDos. Let's see if they pull that out in this next fight. It'll be interesting to see if that beat will be enough. Do you think it will?
If they can beat the McCree ult, I feel like they can get a couple picks, enough picks to definitely finish the series.
Ruru gets picked early, so it causes for an even longer stay in spawn for Maelstrom. So they're going to be looking here. They're going to be taking the approach from the high ground. Interesting choice. They're not going to be able to follow too much up on it, as Crispy does not have any vertical mobility on the Reinhardt. However, Rubik's going to drop down early, and he can get knocked out of mech and quickly eliminated. Nanoblade going to be committed from Drugs, but the beat is going to be thrown out, and that's not going to allow for Drug to secure any kills. However, there are being chills traded out between both teams, but it looks like the advantage is going in favor of Maelstrom. This is particularly dangerous for DDos. There is not a lot of payload space left before Maelstrom wins this, and the players are slowly falling. Rubix gets in for another fight, but he has no one there to support him, and he's slowly going to be chunked down by all of Maelstrom. And it looks like this fight might be going in favor of Maelstrom here, or this map.
They did invest more kills in this.
Hopping on point, big anti there. That's going to cause for Crispy to fall, but a Nanoblade's committed from Ruru. It's going to get Stevenator. Beat's going to be thrown out by Mix so they can survive just a little bit longer. Jug's going to finish off Crossfade, but not before Ruru gets Misty Merc. And it looks like, despite all the odds, DDos is just hanging in there. They haven't quite clearly won this fight, but it looks like Maelstrom is going to give it to him. However, it's Johnny making an aggressive jump in, but Maelstrom is not going to challenge that.
Maelstrom does have the stronger ultimates coming into this fight. They have the Earth Shatter. They have about to get the free ults and Diva Bomb.
So DDos gonna have to play this exceptionally here, as the ult advantage is not in their favor. It's Johnny dropping down onto Crispy, getting some little bit of poke damage. So is Rubix. They're gonna back up. They have to be particularly careful as they're playing awfully close for this Reinhardt Shatter. The Shatter comes out. It's going to connect with 3, as well as the bomb. Here it comes, and that's going to connect with no one, but that's not before 3 players from DDos fall. And that looks like this is going to be the end of it, as that Beat's committed to make sure that no one on Maelstrom dies, and they'll be coasting in with a map victory and an overall game victory of 3-1 versus DDos.
Maelstrom definitely being the better team there, having a stronger DPS. But DDos didn't come short. Very close game.
Ultimately, what I think this came down to was the play out of Ruru for a bulk of the map, but for Wasp and Gibraltar, I definitely got to say Triage was definitely the standout player. DDos really just did not have an answer for him. They did not know how to shut down that Widow, deny those sightlines.
Triage definitely the MVP of this map. But Ruru was the MVP for King's Row.
Absolutely. And, you know, from what we saw there, DDos was running a brand new main tank. That was actually his first match for It's Johnny. Overall, a little shaky out of the gates, but that's what you'd expect when you're playing for a new team. You're getting used to a new environment, a new comm structure. But overall, I have to say I wasn't, entirely disappointed with his performance. I thought he had a pretty strong showing for being a brand new addition to DDos.
That synergy that they didn't have with Johnny, them being Johnny being the main tank, being the new person on the team, it definitely affected them, and it definitely showed here with their plays that they came out with.
But I mean, at the end of the day, you're not playing for today. You're playing for that week 15. You're playing for those playoffs. And I think overall, the pickup of It's Johnny is going to be really fundamental for DDos in the long run. For Maelstrom, I have to say the DPS duo of Ruru and Triage is absurd. And I think that's the simplest way to put it. Ruru, I haven't seen too much of Harmony Tier gameplay, but for the amount of, carrying amount of picks, final blows he was doing tonight, I have to say Ruru is in contention for one of the best, or better, if not best, projectile players in the league. All right. I believe that will do it for us tonight. With a scoreline of 3-1, Maelstrom is going to take the victory over DDos to improve to 3-0 in the tournament. Tune in Sunday, August 18th at 8:30 p.m. to see Discord tier action as Tough Luck takes on Harmony and Chaos. Until then, I've been CoolSam69 alongside Hybrid. We hope you've enjoyed tonight's game, and we hope you enjoy the Widow tournament this Thursday. Both Harmony and Discord tier will be in action. We plan to see you then. Have a great night.
Experience tranquility.